Oh, hi everyone. So, if you didn't put two and two together, I don't have my appendix anymore. But yeah, a really great thing happened to me, and I no longer have my appendix. So if any of you guys are curious as to why that is, I'm about to weave you a tale. Okay? Only if you're like curious enough, but I figured I would share because my life is on the internet. So this started on April 23rd. It was a Thursday night. Me and Chandler just got back from getting some fast food. We partake in eating our food, we're enjoying our night, and then like some time passes and I'm like, I feel like I have to use the bathroom. Like it's that you feel like you're gonna get like sick, kind of. You have to use the bathroom. Use the bathroom. BM speak. Just fair warning. Granted, by this time, I really wasn't like using the bathroom like I should have been. Like, I don't know what it was. Well, I kind of know what it was. I was extremely stressed at that point. Like, stressed out about everything. My health, my life, my relationships. Everything was so stressful and it was stressing me out. And my body was just like so tensed up and upsetty that I could not... Yeah, not successfully at least, you know, kind of went to the bathroom, and I don't, TMI, this whole video is gonna be a TMI for the record. I don't know if I like overdid myself, like I pushed myself a little too hard, if you know what I mean. Suddenly I just like got this pain in my stomach. It was like, it felt like the same stomach pains of like, hey, you really need to use the bathroom. So I was very confused because I was like, I'm here already. What do you want from me? Something didn't sit right, and I was just like feeling my stomach. Like sometimes I do that when I don't feel good, or like if I feel like something's up, my arm, I'll kind of like investigate it and feel around. Well, I was doing that with my stomach and I was just kind of like pressing around it and like rubbing it, like everything feels okay. I think it's just like built up whatever, clearly, because I haven't like gone to the bathroom successfully in a couple days. And when I got to my right side, like the right side of my stomach, my lower stomach, it felt weird. And the best way I can describe it is like when I was rubbing against the flesh, I felt something jagged, if that makes sense. That's the best way I could explain it. Like, there's something not flesh with my stomach, my body. It didn't add up. So I was like, that's kind of fucked up. That feels weird. Like, I know what my stomach feels like because I've pressed on my stomach a lot before and it's never felt like that. I get up, I'm like, whatever, I can't do my business clearly. I can only get so much out of my body. So I just like gave up. I was like, I'm just gonna lay down like on the couch with Chandler and just hope that this kind of solves the issue. But the pain on my stomach got like so much worse, and it was like specifically staying in the lower right section of my stomach. And I'm walking my way from the bathroom to our couch because the bathroom's connected to the living room, and I'm like slowing down and holding my stomach because I am not feeling good. I was in so much pain, and it was only like exceeding at this point. It was getting worse with like every step and every second. I'm like telling Chandler like what all happened, like, hey, I tried to use the bathroom, something really hurts in my stomach right now, it's really hard to walk, and like my stomach is killing me. It literally feels like I started my period, but ironically, that morning, I ended my period, so it didn't make any sense. I should not be having period cramps. I laid down right away on the couch and I like turned the heating blanket up because I figured, well, if it's like gas or something or cramps, then it's just gonna be solved with like heat, so I'll just do that. Meanwhile, it is still getting worse as I'm laying down and I'm like holding my sides and like crying out in agony, and I'm just like, I'm in so much pain. It's like I've had bad period cramps where it like completely took me out and I can't move, I can't speak, and it's like so painful. You just want to stay there and like hold your sides and like have a heated like compression of some sort on your stomach and just lay there and die. So it's not like I haven't felt this before. Like girl speak, we have really shitty period cramps. It's no surprise, and endometriosis runs in my family, and I'm pretty sure I have it, but again, red flag for me. I was not bleeding anymore. I was not, like, that's like, didn't make sense, okay? Like, straight up just didn't make sense, so I'm like, Googling on my phone while I'm just dying. Like, it was so unbearable. And Chandler's just sitting there like, I don't know what to do. I end up Googling like lower stomach pain. That was all I could really call it, is like really bad lower stomach pain. Lower stomach. Right here. A lot of the results that did come up was like appendicitis, or your appendix could have burst. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's my appendix, which never happens really when I Google shit. This was the one time it didn't just say that I have this incurable disease or that I was dying, and ended up being right. I mean, obviously, the title of the video, the fact that I already told you that my appendix is gone. So it got to the point where it's like, this pain isn't wearing off. It's pretty, like, continuous. It's not going away. I think I need to go to the ER. And Chandler's like, are you sure? 'Cause, like, I can take you. I will take you, but are you sure? I was like, yes, this is unbearable. Like, I took an Advil too, and I was just like, nothing is working. I'm in pain. I don't think the Advil's gonna do anything. So we go in, and it took a fucking hour, like a little over an hour, for them to finally get me in. Luckily, I think at that point, the Advil was finally like working. So I had a little relief, but I was still in so much pain. Like, when I got there, the pain was like they do the whole, what's your pain level? 1 out of 10, and I was at a pure 9, and maybe I dropped down to like an 8 with the Advil, but I was in so much goddamn pain. They end up just like doing a bunch of tests on me. They give me like a pelvic exam. Fucking hate that. They gave me a CAT scan. Ultrasound? Yeah, it was an ultrasound. We were there for fucking ever, and at some point they gave us like the 411. They're like, okay, well, it's either appendicitis or you could have like an ovarian cyst. Which I was like thinking, and I was Googling everything too, just to like make sure. Ovarian cysts, those are common, and they could happen at any point in time, during, after a period. I really hope it's not that, because then that means that my body is somewhat prone to getting them at whenever the fuck it wants. So I was really hoping it wasn't that, but I was also hoping it wasn't appendicitis. Obviously, I was just kind of hoping that it was just gas, to be fair, but I knew it wasn't that, just because intuition was like, you dumbass, it's not gonna be something simple. You are in so much pain still, and you're in the ER for this amount of time. So after all the tests were done, my nurse, doctor person, they came in and they were like, blah 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 blah. I don't remember what it was. Probably just the, you're not dying. But the bad news was, she said like I had so much like excretion like in my stomach, which was like not a shocker, but then afterwards like it didn't make sense, and I'll get to that at some point. But she said there's a lot of stuff in your stomach and it's pushing on your appendix and it's like shoving it to the side. It's giving you acute appendicitis. So we're gonna have to go into surgery. I was not thrilled about it, because I've never had a surgery like that before. Like, I've had the one where they like stick the thing down your throat and then they take a chunk of like your stomach to you know, inspect it. I don't know why that's the only word coming to my brain, but that's how I found out I had celiac disease. That was the only like thing I've had where I've gone under. Otherwise, I've had many like open surgeries, like on my armpits and my toes. But this was the first like going under surgery that's taking out an organ, that's messing with organs, and if they fuck it up, it could be like bad. Maybe the good news was that we caught it right away. Like, it was like so far before it burst that I was good and it wasn't gonna like affect myself, because you know, when your appendix burst, it like there's all this pus that like covers like the insides of your whatever, and you have to like stay in the hospital longer so that they can clean it out and get all the pus out. Ugh. It was gross. So they put me in inpatient, and Chandler went home, and very graciously, like, wonderful man, Chandler. Like, round of applause for Chandler. 'Cause this is actually the second time I've had to stay in a hospital, and he stayed with me. He packed some clothes for me, all my like shower stuff, getting ready stuff, toothbrush, hairbrush. He brought all that, and I got settled in my bed. Oh, by the way, we went to the clinic at 11. We got officially in an ER room at around 12, and then we were like in the ER for hours, and we finally got to an inpatient room at around 6 o'clock. It took for fucking ever. They had me on like an IV drip, and I think they gave me some pain meds at some point, or like gave me like a pain fluid. It wasn't like a big boy morphine drug, but it was something just to take the pain away, because I was still in so much pain and discomfort. But once I got to the inpatient room, my nurse gave me, it was like not morphine, but it was like a sister drug to morphine. It started with a D, but like as soon as she gave it to me, I got like all like warm, and I felt like I was being like embraced. Like it felt like a warm hug, and I got really happy. You know, as drugs make you feel. I never liked to be like the morphine feel, and like being on morphine makes my hair fall out, as it does with a lot of people, because that's a really harsh like drug to put in your body. But I didn't mind this stuff she gave me. It was nice. It made me forget a decent amount of the pain, and also I felt a lot better mentally because I was just like in a better mood. They like poked and prodded at me every hour, testing my blood sugars, and meanwhile like I couldn't drink like even water. They needed me to have like nothing in my stomach, so they had to have me fast, and I mean, I was on a saline drip, so I was getting my fluids without feeling like I was dying of dehydration. I didn't get much sleep at that point, I think. I think I slept for like 2 or 3 hours, and then at one point they just like came in to check my blood sugar, like ask me questions. It was just like every hour they came in to ask me questions or something, and it was just like, bro, just like, I didn't sleep yet. But then my surgeon came in, and he gave me the rundown of everything to expect, what he's gonna do, and where he's gonna put the incisions, how it works, and all that. Very, very thorough doctor. He was very good, 10 out of 10, recommend. Oh yeah, and at that point, it was just like, what, 9 in the morning? I was just like, I'm awake now. I'm just gonna get up and like shower. Meanwhile, I'm like hooked up to all these different things, and I'm like needing to move slow, stuck in hell, basically. Of course, I have to get help with everything. I can't just get up and do things myself, so that's never fun. I hate that so much. I hate relying on like people just to use the bathroom. Like, what? It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. But I got all ready, brushed my teeth, showered, shaved. I just have weird OCD with my body, and I would prefer that while I'm sitting in a hospital gown in this inpatient room, I would like to feel like somewhat nice and good about myself. So time passed after whatever, and it was like around noon, because my surgery wasn't until 2, because that was like officially the fasting time of when they can get me in for surgery, and I don't have like all this food and water and whatever in my body, and it gets in the way of the surgery. So around 12, one of my new nurses like came in, and she was like talking about how because I'm not eating anything, but I am a type 1 diabetic, that she has to give me some insulin just to keep my blood sugars normal, obviously, and also during surgery. During and after surgery, clearly my blood sugar is gonna be like really wacky and wonky just because of all that stress on the body. I was like, okay. It was a short-term meal insulin. It wasn't a long-term one, so I was like really confused by that. It makes more sense for them to give me a long-term one, but the way they argued it was that with a meal insulin, the fast-acting insulin, they can control the levels better versus a long-term insulin. Like, whatever, I won't argue with it. What do you gotta give me? And they're going off this like ratio scale on their computer. She says something about like, oh well, your blood sugar's this, And with this, I have to give you like, what was it? 5 or 7 units of insulin. Meanwhile, my blood sugar was like in the 200s, which is like, granted, I was stressed out at the time and in pain, so it was gonna be a little high. But I was like, that's a little high in like my perspective and the whole perspective of like treating a diabetic for their sugars. Like, I would need at least 2 units of insulin given to me, maybe. I told her that. I was like, I'm not eating anything. Why would you give me so much insulin? And she's like, oh, well, the scale says... Fuck the scale. The scale almost killed me. Whatever fucking scale they're looking at. I don't know if it was like sliding scale. I haven't used that in forever, nor do I remember how it works, but I'm not even on a sliding scale. Regardless, diabetic talk. Sorry. We kind of compromised, and I was like, okay, maybe you can just give me like 3 or 4 units of insulin? Maybe it was 5. Maybe she wanted 7, and we ended up agreeing on 5 or 4, which was still a lot of insulin for the fact that I'm not eating anything. But then time passed. I went down to like the surgery area, and there was this like technician guy who's like a nurse, knows more about diabetes than the nurses I'm working with. I start feeling weird like right before surgery, right before they gave me the Tylenol, right before they gave me anything. And I'm like dozing. I'm like starting to doze off. Like I feel so heavy and like lightheaded, and my eyes are like, I can barely stay awake. And I'm like, I don't feel good. I think I'm bottoming out. Dude's like, wait, are you sure? And so he's like, checks my blood sugar, and like sure enough, I was like in the 30s, which was dangerously low for someone who's going into surgery. I was like, what did they do to you up there? It's like, they gave me a lot of insulin when I'm not eating. It's just like, they don't know anything about diabetes up there, I swear. Like, there's 2 guy nurses who were behind him. They like work with the surgeon dude. And they're like, yeah, no, they don't know what they're doing. They told me this, and they're like, most of these diabetics that come in are type 2s, and they're like overweight, and they're like, their blood sugars are a lot. They're used to dealing with people who are overweight and have all these like extra issues because of that with their diabetes, so they're not used to seeing a normal weight type 1 amongst them, I guess. So the technician guy, dude, nurse person, took my IV finger, and he like shot me up with this sugar water. It's like a miracle. It's like in seconds I had a normal blood sugar. It was so bonkers. He ended up having to like give me like more than the usual dose because I just still wasn't feeling myself at that moment. It worked out well and good. I like woke up. I was like awake. I was like, I'm here. My sugar shot up to like 180, but he was like, that's fine. I'd much rather have them work on you with a slightly elevated blood sugar versus you literally almost fainting and dying while you're on the table. I got knocked out pretty fucking fast once they took me. Fun fact, I lost one of my favorite masks that I was wearing at that point in time. No one knows where it went, but I had it when I was going into surgery, and then it was just gone. Then I woke up, the surgery went well, everything was good. They had to keep me in outpatient just because I'm a type 1 diabetic, and they have to like monitor me and watch me and make sure I'm alright and not dying again. Also, they want to make sure that I can walk efficiently and eat and drink water before I can leave. I did, like, just want to sleep once I was back in the room. Like, I was so exhausted, and clearly it was the anesthetic, so... And I didn't get much sleep before that, and they would like still monitor my blood sugars and come and check on me every once in a while. The cool thing is I could leave the same day. They told me right away, like, you'll go into surgery and then like a couple hours later you can leave, which I thought was cool because when I looked up how long you stay for an appendectomy or appendectomy, appendectomy, yeah, you normally like stay like 2 or 3 days afterwards, so I was like, okay, well, I gotta prepare to stay here until like Monday. There goes my weekend. Wasn't the case at all. I guess if something goes wrong during surgery, that's when they would keep you, or if your appendix already had burst, they'd keep you. But for mine, they just had to like go in there and take it out, and there's no problems. It was a smooth, clean surgery. I got released, and that was nice. It was very slow, and oh my god, the pain. Like, I didn't even feel, I mean, I felt it, but I didn't feel it as bad, like, in my stomach when I had my surgery. But oh my god, the shoulder pain. And I don't know if any of you know how that works, but they basically like gas you up with whatever it is they make you bloat with. I forgot. It's been a hot minute since I've had talked about this surgery. They basically make you like swell up with gases so they can get in there properly and work on you. I guess the gas goes up to your shoulders and it like gets locked up there for a time, and my god, it was asshole dealing with it, especially when we were in the car. Both car rides to the hospital and from the hospital were ass. I was in so much pain both times. I had to have Chandler drive slow both times because like every little bump, even just normal slow driving, was like driving me insane. The pain was so bad. We stopped at festivals so he could go inside and grab me some like pudding and applesauce because that was basically all I could eat. Not like a long while, but at least like a day or two. But I was just waiting in the car for him and I was just like dying, like just here. It was so bad. I hated it. I wanted to go home. I have heated blankets around my house, but I also have a heating pad, so I was like, I would lay my heated blanket on the couch and like turn it on, and then I'd put the heating pad like on my shoulders, and I'd alternate which shoulder needed it the most, like if one started hurting over the other. And that night, my lovely friend Alex came and visited me. Phone going off, but he brought me flowers and some gummy snacks, which it was super sweet of him. Love that asshole. My mom and Ashton also came and visited me. Also, speaking of flowers, Chandler, when I came back from surgery, they brought me back to my room. He had a bouquet of flowers waiting for me. It was a bouquet of roses, red roses, and it was so sweet. I think what was funny about that is that the nurses were freaking out about it, and they're like, oh, you have such a great man. Oh, he's such a keeper. Oh, it's sweet. It was awesome. Lovely visitation while I was fresh out of the hospital and healing. And I showed them my battle wounds. I showed them the nastiness that was my stomach, and I was bloated for a long time. I think it was a couple weeks until like I could finally, like, my stomach went back down, and my incisions were nasty. Like, not that they were in bad condition, but just the fact that there were incisions on my stomach and they looked gross, they were nasty to me. Now, on the terms of the whole bowel movement thing and them finding a lot of buildup in my stomach, that turned out to be like false, I guess. I also had Chandler get me a big container of Miralax. I was like putting that in everything I was drinking and eating, like my pudding, my applesauce, my Jello, my water. Everything was drugged with Miralax. As soon as I could, like, go to the bathroom, which was like a day later, it was like barely anything. It was like that you're just pushing out fluids at that point, kind of thing. Like, there wasn't a lot in there, is like what I'm getting at. So it's like, what caused this in the first place? Was it like a buildup of like gas and it just kind of like shoved the appendix to the side and was like, fuck you? Because there wasn't a lot of like excrement. Yeah, that turned out to be like not true. I had a normal amount of stool in my stomach still, as we tend to, but nowhere an amount of where it would fuck up my appendix. So that's where I was like really confused, like, then what happened? Why did this happen? Totally forgot to mention also, I'm everywhere in this story. When I was laying on the couch before we went to the ER when I was with Chandler, my gut swelled up massively. It was like I was pregnant and it just hurt even worse. So I'm still confused to this day why the appendicitis was like triggered, because it wasn't the excrement. Not to sound gross and like be all TMI, but like I said, this entire video is pretty nasty. But I'm just still confused, and it baffles me now that I'm remembering everything. Like, what? First couple days of like showering were ass because you can't get the incisions wet. Somehow I did things right, and I was able to not fuck up my healing process or the adhesive or the stitches. First time with stitches, and first time with the dissolvable stitches, so cool. It's been a couple weeks now. I'm doing a lot better. The incisions are now like officially like scars. The belly button one was the biggest incision, so granted it's taking longer to heal, but it's pretty much there. Everything's looking good. I still have a limit on what I can pick up. 25 pounds is the limit for now. That's the whole situation with what's been going on for the last month. I'm doing a lot better, definitely in a better mindset, because I was slow for so goddamn long. It was like, on the bright side, so many people like cared about me, and like were like, my mom was messaging me every day asking me like how I was doing. On the other hand, I was so slow and I needed so much help doing the most basic shit. I was trying to do more walking after like a couple days, so me and Chandler were trying to go for like a walk around the block, and oh my god, I couldn't even like hold his hand or like hold his arm because he was just walking too fast, or like the vibrations from him were like affecting me and they would just make my body hurt. So I had to like go at a grainy pace. Walk at your own pace. I gotta walk like this. That didn't last too long, but it was still not fun. Going upstairs and going downstairs, the vibrations just hurt. Like stretching, moving, turning on my sides when I was like sleeping was hell. Yeah, so I no longer have an appendix. My sugars were hectic at first, like insanely. I was able to get them under control once the pain started subsiding and everything started looking up and better for me, and I was able to function like a real human. With all of what happened, I'm glad it happened, I guess, right away while being young, and that I was able to catch it right away and went to the ER. Because now I don't have to worry about ever getting appendicitis again, or like having anything bad happen revolving around an appendix, because I don't have it anymore. Granted, bad things can happen to any one of your organs or any part of your body, but, you know, it's out and now nothing bad can happen to it. Looking on the bright side. But thank you so much for watching. You can catch me in my next video. I will see you in my next video. Bye!